Thank you for doing this. This is Lindsay Rouse. We're doing the Women in Medicine for the BE collection. This is 2021. And Lindsay is the second person I've interviewed for this. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
I just wanted to start with some simple questions. The first one being, where were you born?
Salt Lake City, Utah.
And when did you come from Utah to California?
Well, I went to New York from Utah. So I went to school in New York, and then I had some friends who were moving out here after I graduated. And they were actually moving to LA, although I wanted to go to San Francisco. So I ended up going to LA for 30 years. And then I eventually came up to Oakland.
So did you go to New York for your education after high school?
Yep.
When was it you first thought you might be a lesbian?
Well, I had my first partner when I was in college. In fact, we met the first day of college. It was a very serendipitous thing. And so we were lovers through college, but we never considered ourselves lesbians until I think our senior year, when we went to this was right after Stonewall, and we went to a conference at school that was like, you know, a women's conference, a gay conference, like all of these, you know, lesbian conference. And so we went to, well, Ellen went to this workshop on lesbianism. We wouldn't go together. So she went.
It was by design?
Yes, it was by design. I don't know why we didn't, but we didn't. Everybody would know we were a couple, I suppose. Although we find out that everybody knew we were a couple anyway.
Really?
Oh,
So much for hiding.
I know. We just pretended we were hiding. Anyway, so then I went to this workshop, and it was pretty awesome, but Rita Mae Brown was there.
Really? That is awesome.
And somebody said, you know, I don't understand, if you are free enough to love women, why don't you love everything like dogs and trees? And I said, well, because I love women. Although I love dogs and trees, I don't want a relationship with them. I don't want to marry them. And Rita Mae Brown stood behind me and went, you tell him, sister. I know, it's quite the thing.
So she gave her blessing on your stage.
She gave the blessing, and it was like, that was Rita Mae Brown, and she went sister on me. So then I was signed in.
What school did you go to?
Barnard.
What college did you attend?
Barnard College, which was the women's division of Columbia. At that point, they were separated.
And your major then?
Then my major was anthropology.
And you obviously changed that.
Yes, I obviously did.
And growing up in Utah, where were you in the ranking of your family in terms of?
I was the youngest.
And you had other siblings, obviously? How many?
Yes, I did. I had 3 other siblings.
And where are they now?
2 are dead, and 1 is, I think, planning for the apocalypse someplace.
Really? So he's busy.
Yeah, he's very busy. He's waiting for the end of the world, and I think he's trying to formulate a way to do that. But we haven't talked. He just cut off conversation about 8 months ago. But my nephew heard from him, so
he's still alive.
He's still alive, right?
He has a big job.
It's an extremely big job to end the world. I mean, he's taking it seriously.
Has he always been serious like this?
He's always been crazy like this.
So have your other siblings gay or lesbian?
My brother was gay. My older brother, who's dead, he was gay.
Did he talk to you about being gay?
There was actually, we did, when I was in my senior year and I was coming out, and he would talk to me then, and he sent me this really fabulous letter about being gay. My nephew was here a couple of months ago, and he read it, and he actually wanted a copy of it. I mean, he was so touched by it.
That's great. You still have it.
Yeah.
Great brother. So how many occupations have you had?
Well, my first job, which was not an occupation, fortunately, was working in the hash pipe factory.
Huh. Was that in
So-
California?
Of course. I tried getting a job in a bank and they said I was too educated. I tried getting a job someplace else and they just wouldn't take me. But I was acceptable to the hash pipe factory.
Oh.
So then I worked
What
there.
was your role there? In the hash pipe factory?
Well, I actually matured into being the head of brass. I was
so there
over
you
the
go.
brass division of
Uh,
the hash pipe factory.
Your leadership skills were developing.
Yes, yes. And my father, when I told my father, he said, well, I think I will tell my friends that you're in brass and just hope that they think you're in the orchestra.
That was your father.
That was my father.
Right. How about your mother? You alive when you came to California?
No,
Oh,
no, she died in my junior year of college.
oh. Your sister?
She died in my freshman year of college. No,
Oh.
my sophomore year of college.
Losses together.
Mm-hmm.
So did you and Ellen come to California together and then stay as lovers?
No, we broke up actually in New York, but then
Huh.
she came out here and went to Santa Barbara. You see Santa Barbara, and we, so we'd see each other from time to time, and we're still in contact. Actually, it's pretty funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is she in California?
No, she's in New York.
How did you decide to go into nursing?
Well, because I was not good at getting jobs. I had gone to a semester, I think, at UC Riverside to get a PhD in anthropology, and I just couldn't do it.
Really?
Yeah, graduate school was just baffling for me, I think. So my friend who lived kind of right next door came in one day. She worked with me in the hash pipe factory. And she said, we're going to go to nursing school. We're going to become nurses. And I said, I'm actually not going to become a nurse because that's stupid. And she said, yeah, we are. And she pulled out the LA Times on a Monday, which is always the day everybody advertises on Saturday or Sunday. So no one does Monday. And she pulled out the LA Times and there were 4 pages of ads from nurses.
Oh.
Yeah. So I went to Pasadena City College and got my nursing whatever.
Did you have financial backing from your family when you were going to school?
Yeah, my dad gave me something like $800 a month or something.
That was helpful.
It was very helpful. Paid my way. I didn't have to keep working in the hash pipe factory.
So did it help you with your choices in education to know that you had that financial backing from your dad?
It did in my undergraduate. And it really did through nursing school. It was just helpful. And then from then on, when I kept going to other schools, I just paid my own way.
The reason I'm asking is I'm finding through talking to different lesbians that their decisions about their next step were a lot of them based on finance and lack of it, or whether they had some.
Yeah.
So you went to PCC in nursing. Then what was your first job?
My first job was at City of Hope, and I did, I was actually on a funny unit, which was a combination of respiratory rehab, diabetes and endocrinology, and pain unit.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a
big title.
Yeah, it was actually mostly like patient education in every one of them, except for the like people on real respiratory who were not doing well. But the rest of them were all like rehabilitation things. So that was kind of great. And I worked there on evenings, and then there was an opening on diabetes on days. So I went to diabetes and then I worked there for a while and became sort of a diabetes teaching nurse. And then I actually, when I was going to graduate school and right after, I was a diabetes teaching nurse.
What made you choose City of Hope at that time?
It was hiring and a lot of, and my
Did you do a rotation there? Did you rotate?
There was a rotation there, but my friend Dorothy said, the same one who got me into nursing said, let's go apply at City of Hope, because she had done a whole thing. The interesting thing was that I got put on that unit, which was sort of a blessing because I never really had I was not competent in skills. I failed bed making something like 27 times.
Have you improved on that?
No, I never improved on it because depends on whether you want a long story, but no, I was once helping nurses' aides make beds. One of them came up and said, thank you for helping, but please never do that again.
Never come near a bed again.
Exactly. Don't do a bed bath. Don't just stay away.
You were born to administration. You were born for administration.
Well, I was born for teaching and talking, and then administration. Because if they had put me on any other unit at City of Hope, I would have failed. But that unit, because it was all education, it was awesome. That was a good place for me. So I did that, and then I started graduate school in, I don't know, after 2 years or 3 years of working there, because they let me work 4 days a week, and the graduate school I only had to go to 1 day a week. So
graduate school was directed for more nursing education?
No, the graduate school was to be a family counselor, marriage and family counselor.
Was there some event that said to you, boy, let me try that direction?
Yes, all my directions have been kind of impelled upon me.
Or did you have a roommate that said you're going to do this next?
No, not that. No, but I got a flyer in the mail, and they were doing continuing education. And they said, and if you're, for nurses, but it also said, and if you're interested in getting this degree, blah, blah. And probably a month before that, I had talked to my ex-girlfriend, Ellen, the first partner, and she was mentioning this new thing called, because it was pretty new at that point, called marriage and family therapist, and you get licensed and be a counselor.
So what year was that? The 80s?
Oh, no, 76, maybe 70, no, 77 probably, because I started doing my internships in 79. So anyway, I got this thing that said, would you like, and also we have a graduate program if people would like to do it. Here's an orientation. So I went there, and because it was 1 day a week, I thought, well, this would be a blast.
I can do that one day. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Only 1 day a week. So then I did that and got a license in marriage and family therapy.
Good for you. And then did you work at the hospital or start a private practice?
I did private practice after I finished my internship, I did private practice for 10 years. And then what happened was, insurance came in, and I didn't really want to do insurance. And it was just sort of slowing down. So I thought it was a good time to practice something else.
And what was that?
Well, so then I volunteered at Chris Brownlee Hospice for a while, which was the first AIDS hospice in the country. And I volunteered there. And one day I went into the director of nursing, and I kind of said,
the hospice?
In the hospice, yeah. So I went up to him and I said, I'm wondering if I could volunteer here as a nurse to kind of learn how to be a nurse here. He said, sure, would you like a job? So I said, sure, I sure would. So then I started working there.
What job were you assigned?
I started as just an RN supervising like the LVNs and the aides. And then after, I think a year and a half, maybe, or 2 years, I became director of nursing. So I did that.
How long was the hospice open?
I don't know exactly. We closed, I think, in 90, I think we closed in 96 or 95. That's sort of in my memory. And it had been going maybe since the late 80s, maybe 89, 80 something. And I started working there I volunteered in 90, and I think I started working in 92. It
was a good time and a sad time, a frightening time.
Yeah, yeah.
What was your most memorable, I don't know, person, situation from the hospice?
The hospice did not, there was no single thing. The hospice was like a series of phenomenal stories. And everything was amazing there. It was really sort of an altered reality. Everything, I mean,
I think that's a good description of it.
yeah, I mean, it really was. And we had people living there ranging from really being, I mean, having AIDS, but being healthy and up and around and being able to go out. Many of them who would go out and secure drugs to spend the day away and then come back. And then, there were a lot who are dying. So it was this combination of, interaction with people who are pretty healthy. And, also as they move and they go and become dying. Because they had to move floors. They started out on the second floor, but because we didn't have any elevators, when they got sick and couldn't walk, they had to go down to the first floor. And that was interesting because the people on the second floor kind of would be kind of together. And the people on the first floor, and they would never go down and visit the people on the first floor, even if they had known them on the second floor, they'd never go see them. And on the
I think
first,
the second floor people still had hope.
I absolutely, yeah, I think so. And they didn't want to see what their future was. So then the people on the first floor actually really never talked to anybody, and their families talked together. So it was like a social experience, and we were very loosely regulated at that point because the city was so grateful we were there. They didn't do a lot of, pressure on us. So it was just a wildly, there was a graciousness about it that was just unbelievable. I mean, I had one of the—
That's part of you and who you are. That's part of you and who you are.
I think so.
That's graciousness, right?
Well, I've never thought of myself that way, but it is, I have that element. Yeah.
Yeah, my opinion.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate that. No, what was interesting is, so here's this story. When I was a new nurse there, everybody who worked there pretty much was either a person of color or gay. And there were maybe 3 people in the whole place who didn't fit either of those descriptions. And one of them was Virginia, who was very, very waspy. And I think her husband was a doctor, blonde, I mean, very waspy. And she did not seem to fit at all. I mean, she, really well educated. But so here she was, she was one of the nurses, and she was taking me around. She was kind of training me at that point. And so we knock on a door and we know somebody's in there. So Virginia opens the door and there is a guy masturbating in there. And Virginia says, "Excuse me," and comes up to me and says, "We must leave him to his ecstasy," which I thought was the best language I've ever heard. And just from this person who was like so straight, I mean, not only heterosexual, but really very wasp, very straight. And she just was absolutely free there. One day I walked by a patient's room and she and the patient were dancing. And things like that happened all the time. I mean, it was just
great memories.
Yeah, there were really good memories there. And the thing about it that was significant is because everybody had AIDS, I mean, everybody was pretty much disfigured from Kaposi's sarcoma. And then, or very sick or, very thin and, just a mess. And because that was everybody's reality, no one was shocked by anything. There was no fear. We didn't know what anybody was like before. And so when they came in, no matter how they looked, that was their normal, and so it was always fine with us. We were always just relaxed around them. And I think that was probably,
a lot of that was you.
But a lot of it was the culture. I mean, it was there before me. So I walked into this culture that pre-existed, and then I supported, obviously. But, I think the thing I like best about hospice, whether it was, I mean, I learned it there, but continuing, is that in hospice, if it's done well, one of the primary jobs is to normalize death and help people feel free. And, it's an astounding thing when that works and people aren't scared of dying anymore, or less scared, and the family's not scared. It's an interesting thing. People who are in pain can't die.
So all the time you were working in the hospice here, did you have lovers? Were you out as a lesbian? Or obviously, finally it was fine to be.
Yeah. When I came up here, well, I came up because of a lover, and except for Brownlee, I was closeted in every job I had until, until I got to Kaiser.
So your life now, what's your inspiration for how you want to go forward?
I don't know. I volunteered a lot. I volunteer at the hospital as a chaplain, and I like to keep doing that. I was on the hemonc ward, mainly hematology, and it was just a good place for me.
For a person deciding to go into nursing or thinking about it, and they're lesbian, do you think they should have any concerns about their sexuality and their decision?
I don't think so in California anymore. I think it's really much more open now. You look at it, I mean, it came out before Stonewall. And, there was, when we were first getting together, I mean, there were all these stories about, oh, there were these two lesbians and they got found out and they threw themselves off a building and killed themselves.
Is that true?
Actually, it was. When I got back,
wow.
I kind of said, "Do you remember?"
I didn't know that story.
Yeah, yeah. It was, and Ellen investigated, and actually, yes, it was true. They actually killed themselves. And I remember one time we got caught actually, and we were trying to figure out what to do, and we were taking the subway someplace, and we were like, "Why don't we just throw ourselves in front of it?" And we were really serious. I mean, really, it's like, we can't live this life. And at exactly the same time, we said, oh my God, what would our mothers say? What would our mothers do?
Unfortunately, your mother is still alive.
Yes, exactly. So, but I mean, the younger people now are just so much more, they're more proud, they're more aggressive, they're more willing to be out, I think. And nursing, I don't think, as a profession, holds a negativity in some about homosexuality. I think it's adapted to it.
Did you prefer being a psychotherapist to working as a nurse?
I couldn't have built a practice up here.
I don't think so.
It would have been too hard, because I had no contacts, I had no anything. So nursing was just easier to go back to. And I'm glad I did. I don't think I would want to be a therapist again.
Yeah. Totally different.
Yeah. I did spiritual direction for a while. I mean, I got certified 5-6 years ago in spiritual direction.
What is your greatest inspiration?
What is my greatest inspiration?
Yeah. Or what? Person or inspiration?
I think the greatest, here's bleak, the greatest inspiration I had was all my family dying. I mean, that was really between the mental illness in my family and the people dying in my family, I think my path of life was very determined. And it's a weird inspiration, but I think that was what was important.
Thank you for being part of this.
You're welcome.